This
But
conference will now be recorded.
if you do that, then there is one major drawback, which is when you come to do the second track, you have to listen on headphones or they just all get mixed together. And so I'll show you what I actually have in terms of equipment, but I'll probably do that a little bit later after we've had a look at GarageBand. So you've probably seen I'm wearing a guitar. What we'll do is we'll start up GarageBand, and I'll start it with a new, what they call project. So I'll go up to, there's GarageBand, and I'll go to new, and and we get this, and hopefully you can see the basics. When the writing's very small, I'll try and explain what we're looking at, but we're looking at a thing that says choose an empty project. So I'm going to choose an empty project, and then I get a box like this, and it really has 4 options for how you want to effectively put music into GarageBand. The first one is you can plug a USB MIDI keyboard in and play MIDI to it. The second one is using a microphone or line input, and that's the one I'm doing tonight. You can connect a guitar or bass, and I'm not going to use that, although I could. It's virtually the same, but it gives you the choice of various amplifiers to put the effect of that amplifier in, and I want to do that maybe later, but I won't do that straight away. And you can add a drummer that automatically plays along with your song, and frankly I've never done that, so I don't really know what that does. In terms of lower down, you've got inputs, and GarageBand can record in stereo, so you can record 2 tracks at once. And so here we've got the choice of input 1, input 2, or input 1 and 2. I'm just going to choose input 1 because I've only got the guitar. And there's a little tick thing here that says I want to hear my instruments as I play and record, and that effectively monitors what you're playing, which if you've got a solid electric guitar or a bass guitar where you can't hear anything unless it's amplified, then you'd want that, but I don't really need that with the acoustic guitar I've got in my hand. And then down the bottom, you definitely probably can't see these, but it shows you what inputs the thing is listening to and using as output. And at the moment, I'm using an audio to USB box that I'll talk about later, which is called a mobile pre. And so the bottom says my instrument is connected with mobile pre, and at the top it says I hear sound from mobile pre as well, and that will come out of the 2 monitors I've got beside the Mac. Okay, so having got there, I'll create that, and I then get the main view of GarageBand. In the middle there's a big space, and this is where the waveform will appear as I record some music. In the middle at the top, you can see a transport piece. So there's a record and a play and a stop and forward and back. Right in the middle, there's a tempo and a key, and I don't use those at all, but you can actually play along with a metronome, which is the one on the right hand side. And if you do, then it'll tell you what bar you're on, and I believe you can actually get it to correct your singing to sing in tune, which is why you would put a key in, which I definitely need but don't use. So I'm going to turn off the metronome. It's in the trade, it's called a click track. So it goes click, click, click as you play, and you're supposed to play in time with it, which I'm completely hopeless at, but there we are. And then in the grey bar, you notice we've just got one track up so far. It's called Audio 1, and you might be able to see the green bar going up and down as I play. Okay. To the left-hand side, we've got a sort of library of pre-built effects, if you like, and I'll show you that in a minute. And at the bottom, we've got a set of knobs which are effectively equalizers, so tone controls. There's a compressor, there's a thing called ambience, and there's a thing called reverb, and I'll talk about those in a minute, okay? And all of these we can more or less turn off. If you look at the top left-hand corner, there's a set of little squares, and if you click those, you can turn off the various bits of the display. And up there is also a question mark where you can get help, and it will show you help on every piece, which is often very useful when you're first learning. I'll turn that off. On the right-hand side, which is obscured by GoToMeeting at the moment, there are 3 more, okay, which allow you to do things like putting pre-recorded music in, playing backings along with you, and playing drums along with you. And I might show you those later, but I don't use those at all. So everything's totally live, okay? So what I'll do is I'll just record a short piece of music. So I'm going to just put in a few chords and record that, and then I'll come back and I'll add another track, and we'll perhaps put some lead on, and then I'll put some bass on, and you'll see how you build up a multi-track recording. So if we start it going. Then hopefully you can see the waveform build up, and there I've just recorded a short snatch of music, which we can play back. And for some reason I'm dead nervous, so it's probably pretty poor. So there we've got our first track. And if I go to where the gray bar is, there's a little plus at the top. I can click that and get another track. And I get the same box back that we started with. And again, I'll just go for input 1, and I'll go for record using a microphone, and I'll create another track. And so now if I do record, then I get the first track playing, but I can put something on top of that. And I do apologize for the musicianship, but now we've got 2 tracks, and we've got a little bit of a lead on top of the chords. And again, I'll just add 1 more track, and I'll probably try and put a little bit of a sort of bass type thing in. So again, it's input 1, recorded with a microphone, and here we are back with another track. So again, I'll do record on top of that. Oh, sorry, didn't go back to 0. Let's get rid of that. So this is a typical problem. You forget to go back to 0. But here we go again. So. And so now we've got 3 tracks. and I'll just play that as it is. It is. And you probably noticed the sound bars going up and down. I can change the volume of each individual track, both before recording it and afterwards. And so, you know, if I play that again, perhaps the chords are a bit loud. And so now we've basically got 3 tracks, and we can add as many as you like. I could use different instruments, which I normally do, but I'm not going to plug in a bass guitar tonight, etc. I'm not going to pick up my accordion. But you've now got.
I'm disappointed.
Disappointment. Well, maybe if you twist my arm later, I'll pick it up. But now what we can do, we can start to look down the bottom, and at the bottom we've got a set of knobs and a blue background, and that's with the controls tab, and just next to that is a thing called EQ. So if I just tap on that, then it changes to a frequency chart, and I can start turning frequencies up and down. So first of all, back on the controls, I've kind of got an old school low, middle, high, mid frequency and low cut. These are old style amplifier controls, really, as you'd find on an old amplifier. And on the right hand side, we've got ambience and reverb. And ambience is a short delay, and reverb is a longer delay, like you'd get from a big hall. So if I choose the lead track I've done, I can show you putting some reverb on. Which is obviously quite extreme, but it does wonders for your poor singing. So if you add a bit of reverb to your voice, it doesn't half help if your voice isn't that great, which mine is certainly not. And I'll probably spare you my singing tonight. So you've got various controls there, and again, if I went to the frequency control, I can effectively draw a graph of how I want the sound to be shaped. So you know, let's again choose the treble track, and I can put up the treble, right? So I could take a bit of bass off. So each individual track can then be shaped to the tone you want, to either increase or decrease the treble, middle or bass, etc. And then over on the left-hand side in this panel we haven't looked at yet, there's various sorts of preset equalizations, as they call it, that you can use, that the system has put together. So if I choose that kind of bassy track I did, I can go over here and I can choose electric guitar and bass, and I'll choose clean bass, and let's go with modern stack, and you'll see that the symbol changes on that track to look like a big bass amplifier, and hopefully we'll find that track has become a lot more bassy. I just stop it there. But another thing you can do is each little track has got various controls as well. I can mute the track. I can actually listen to it at so-called solo. So I'm muting every other track. So if I just wanted to listen to what I'd done to that bass track, I can click the solo, and I'm now just listening to that. And bearing in mind that's an acoustic guitar, that probably sounds quite bassy, really. Similarly, I could, of course, listen to any of the others on their own just to see what I've done. And you can hear the echo there that I put on earlier. And then, you know, back to the original one, I listen to that solo, then you get an idea. And so that's now, if you like, given us a 3-track recording, a very short thing where I completely screwed up the rhythm of the chords, so it's not going to sound that great. But this is, you know, the final one, if you like. And so we can say, okay, let's save that. So I'll save that. So I'll save that to this little folder I've got set up over here somewhere called Mac Users Talk, and I'll call it Test 1 or something like that. Okay, so I can save the whole project. I'll replace what I've got there. I can save the whole project, but I might want to share it with somebody as just a piece of music. And so one way to do that, if you look at share, we can export the song to disk, and that'll come out as an MP3 file. So I'll just do that and we'll see what we get. So it says test 1 and the date and the time, and I'll put it in that Mac Users Talk folder again. And I'm doing it as an MP3, but I could do it as an Apple Music file or a WAV file, which is an audio file, etc. But let me do it as an MP3. And so now that has gone off and saved that. And if I look in Mac Users Talk, sure enough, I've got the test 1 MP3. And if I double click on that, it will play it in Apple Music or iTunes, depending on whether you're on Catalina or whatever. So it's just so now we're in MP3. We can email that file to people. We can put it in iTunes and make a playlist out of a number of them. And you're actually looking at a CD I just made of loads of things I've done in lockdown. And you can then blow it to a proper CD as an audio file. But let's just stick with GarageBand and the MP3 for a minute. So there, what we've done is we've recorded 3 different tracks. we've put a different tone shaping on each track, mixed them together and exported them to a disk as an MP3 file. And clearly you can go on doing that and produce fairly reasonable recordings, okay? I think I'll probably leave it there for a minute. Oh, my backup's just started. That's really good news. Hopefully that won't interfere. But so that was effectively, if you like, producing a sound file I could then share with other people. But as I said, it started with a video on Facebook. And so what I'll move on to is I'll record a video on QuickTime, and I'll show you that you can put that into GarageBand as well and add tracks to it. So I'll get rid of this one. We'll quit GarageBand, and we'll just save what we had. And let's now just start up QuickTime Player, which comes free with the Mac as well. And at the top, at the file, I'll start up new movie recording. And hopefully I'll get to see myself, which is from the webcam. And in the middle of the screen, I get a red dot, which is the recording, so I can start recording. And just to the right of that is a tiny arrow, which is a pull-down menu of how the video and the audio gets into QuickTime. So at the moment, I'm showing the video from my built-in camera. I'll just move to my webcam. That didn't work, did it? Probably because it's talking to you. It didn't like that. But anyway, let's just see what we got. I'll go back to the original camera. So, and at the moment, it's listening to my USB device. So I can now do more or less the same thing, but do it with video. So if I just record a little snatch. And we'll see what we got. And so there it is on the video with my smiling face. So I can now save that, and I'll save it to my little folder of Mac users talk, and let's call that test video. So now that's come into the Mac user folder as a .mov file, a .mov file. And what I can do is I can open up GarageBand. And I'll start a new project. And once again, I'll choose an empty project, and I'll get it listening to the microphone. And there I get a single track, but I can now drag and drop the video I produced into GarageBand. And there it is. And so at this point, I've got a video, but the audio is in GarageBand. So at this point, I can add the same couple of tracks kind of thing that we did before. So I'll add a bit of a lead on there. And I'll add a bit of a bass. Just in the same way as before. Remember to go back to the beginning. So now we've got the same 3 tracks as before, but this time on top of a video. And if I now export that to disk, so first of all, I'll save it just to make sure. So I'll call this test with vid. And I need to put it in the right place, otherwise I'll lose it. We'll save that. And now I'll export that to disk as an MP3. So we've started with a video as a .mov file, put it into GarageBand, added some tracks of audio, and now I'm going to export the whole thing as an MP3 audio file. So there we are. So it should now be in there as test with vid, and once again I could play it in iTunes, and it would be the audio of that group of things. Okay, but now what I can do is I can say, okay, let's put the original video and the new audio into iMovie. So if I start up iMovie, and it'll show loads of things, but let's create a new movie, and I get a more or less empty space. I can now drag and drop my little movie that I made into the sort of working space. Go away, I don't want all that stuff. How did I get all that lot? If I drag and drop in that's the original movie, but I can also drag and drop in the MP3 as an audio file, and they're now available to look at. So I'll just move that back to the top. So if I put my video down here into the working space, I can play the original video, etc. But I can also put the new audio in. I can grab it. Why isn't it letting me grab that? It's a demonstration, things always go wrong. Otherwise, it's not letting me grab that. Hang on. Oh, this is not going well. Oh, yeah, you horrible thing. Oh, there it is. So that is now, if you like, the original video, but with the new audio also there. And so I can play those two together, but of course I've got the original chords that I had twice. Let's just see what we get when I play that. Plus the fact that my new audio is way too loud, which I should have done before I exported the MP3. But what we can now do is with the video, I can go up to modify and I can take off the audio. So I've done detach audio and I'll just throw that away. So now I've got the original video, but with the new audio, and I'll just go to that and I'll turn it down a bit. So at the top here, you've got a set of controls, one of which is the volume. So I can hopefully, I can get it to work. I should be able to turn that down. Oh, hang on. Yeah, so there we are. So I've now, if you like, got the original little video, but with the new audio with all 3 tracks. And now I can sort of, if you like, send that to people. So right at the top, there's a share, and let me get that out of the way. There's a share, one of which is prepare for Facebook, by the way, so I can make it into the right standard and size for Facebook. But another one is file. So if I just export it to a file, I get this, and I get the, it's called My Movie. Let me call it something else. So I need to go to projects. For some reason, you have to go back to projects to name it. And I'll call it test video with audio. Ooh, can't spell. And now I can share that as a file, and I get the choice of what kind of settings I want it to be. For some reason, it's not showing me that, but there we go. Perhaps I clicked on the wrong thing. Hang on, let me try again. Let me go back to that. And let me try that. Yeah, so now I've got a choice of what kind of resolution, and I've got 720p, 60 hertz, and quality high, and compress faster, etc. So I can choose what kind of quality I want the final video to be. And down here in the left, it tells me that it's 19 seconds long, and it tells me that it's going to be about 30 megabytes. So if I just now share that, I'll put it in the same folder and do save, then it saves as an MP4, which is, you know, the same sort of standard but video. And I can now go, when it's got there, I can now go look at that. It tends to take a while to do this, but now we're there. And somewhere in here should be, oh, there it is. There's my video with the 3 audio tracks. And I probably won't do it tonight because I noticed the time's getting on a bit, but you can obviously record one video, record another with you playing alongside it, and then put the 2 together in iMovie, and you can do things like picture in picture or side by side, etc. I won't show you that tonight, and I'll stop QuickTime Player so it doesn't get in the way. And so what I hope I've shown you is that it's quite possible to record both audio and video with QuickTime, iMovie, and GarageBand, several tracks of audio, do really quite professional shaping and that kind of thing, and then share the final result as a file that you can then post to social media, or you can send to your mates or whatever. Okay, so finally, I'll go back to GarageBand. Let's move that little video over, and perhaps I'll talk a little bit about equipment just to finish off with. So everything I've done tonight, you can do with the microphone and the camera on your Mac or your MacBook, and you'll actually find that the quality is pretty good. The only downside you'll have is that after you've recorded the first track, you needed to put your headphones on for the next track, or you just get that recording over itself, right? And so you need to mute the speakers and listen through headphones to do the next track, okay? So what I've got is that this guitar has got a pickup in it, and so you can see it's plugged in, and that goes into, I'll put it down actually so I don't drop the thing. But that goes into a box that turns audio into USB, which hopefully with the camera I can show you, except it's not on that camera. All right, hang on. Where's the, how do I change what camera I'm on? Mike, that's the thing.
I have absolutely no idea, Mick. I'm sorry.
Oh dear.
This is all new territory for me.
Right, hang on then. So it's at the moment. Oh, there we are. Yeah. So saying I'm on the webcam. So,
Mick, can I interrupt you? Can I interrupt you for a second? Yeah. Do you want to stop sharing your desktop so that we can actually, if you're going to start waving the camera around the
yeah,
room?
Good idea. Right. Has that stopped it?
No.
Right, hang on then. Let me get rid of GarageBand. And let me see what I've got here, right? Right, try that. There we go.
We're probably looking at the ceiling.
Yeah, you're looking at the ceiling. So, but first of all, the USB interface is that little box there, and you can see the yellow lead from my guitar plugged into it. It's a 2-channel thing, so you can have a microphone and a guitar, or you know, in my case of my accordion's got a treble side and a bass side with separate microphones, so it records in stereo. My microphone, I've got a Shure USB microphone. Let me try and show you that, which is there. Note the colourful laggy bands where the original Shure mountings broke, and they wanted to charge me 12 quid each for them, but a laggy band does it very well. And then for speakers, I've got a pair of quite cheap Yamaha studio monitors, okay? And the thing I'm waving around is a Logitech webcam, which is useful because you can just get it then to look at the right angle when you're playing something, okay? And so when you've done that, you're hearing the sound in pretty good quality, almost studio quality. The microphone is pretty much studio quality, and the guitar and the bass and the accordion have got pickups in, and so they come through at pretty good quality as well. And so, you know, for what is actually a relatively modest outlay, somebody's probably going to ask me how much they cost, but the USB interface, it's no longer available because it's so old, but new ones cost about 130 quid. The microphone was around 300 quid, and the monitors were also around 300 quid, and the webcam was about 90 quid. So, you know, what are you looking at there? You're looking at 400 or 500 quid for something that would then make you a pretty good CD if you wanted to. The only difficulty, of course, is you have to be a good musician to make a good CD, and I'm not, but it's still quite good fun. And certainly been very useful to share music back and forth on FaceTime, the sort that we would just be playing in the pub if we weren't locked down, you know. So I think that's probably where I should leave it, say boring the pants off you. Has anybody got any questions?
Do you know, I've never known Suffolk Magnus so quiet.
Where's the accordion?
Nick, it's Jeff Rogers here.
Okay, I'll show you the accordion. So this is a device that's very similar to a piano accordion, but there are buttons on both ends. Very popular in Ireland, Scotland, France and Germany, almost unheard of in the UK. I think I'm one of only 2 people in the area that plays one. So that's the accordion. And this has got three or 4 microphones in that side and 1 microphone in that side, and they are separate channels, so I can literally record in stereo. And I wondered if there was no questions, whether you'd want to hear a track I'd done earlier, as it were.
I have a question.
Sorry, go ahead, Jim.
Jim Korski, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I haven't played around with GarageBand for about 5 years, but one of the things I liked about it, and I didn't see you reference it, is a bunch of loops and rhythm tracks that you can add, and in various styles like reggae and rock and samba and that sort of thing. Does GarageBand still have the loops available that you can tack on to whatever you're recording live?
It certainly does, and there are hundreds and hundreds of them, and more or less none of them work with English folk music. There are, that was sort of, if I go back to sharing the screen again for a minute, if I know how to do that, and I probably don't. Geez.
Well, is there a skiffle loop?
Yes, there certainly is a skiffle loop and things like that. But you know, with English folk music, with jigs and reels, and I do a lot of playing for period dancing. You know, there's nothing like that. Okay, but yeah, it does, and you can put drum tracks on there. You know, I've done some very simple things where you just tap the keyboard and get drums, but it's very, very primitive, you know. So I haven't really been into that. I've mostly been into just recording myself, you know.
Mick, if you just wiggle your mouse around, you should see an icon at the bottom center of the screen that says screen, which you
Oh
then
yeah. So
tap on.
let me just show you, Jim, what is there, right? So I'll start GarageBand again. And it's these things at the right hand top right that give you that kind of thing. So there's a notepad there. There's the loops. So here we are, right? So I'll just so there's 12 bar blues bass. You know, etc., etc. Shuffle drum set. So, you know, there's instrument loops, there's rock piano. And then the third one is you can bring in songs and tunes from Apple Music or iTunes, and if you like, add your own stuff to it. Okay. I don't really use that because, of course, being an English folk musician, we totally abhor all this electronic rubbish and pre-done stuff. You know, it's all got to be real, you see. So, that's more or less GarageBand. But yeah.
Nick, just a quick question.
Yes.
You mentioned that you've seen somebody else's video sort of online and started playing along with it. Have you actually tried combining performances from more than one person? So bits that you've done, bits that, you know, a friend or colleague has done, and combining them into a single track or even multiple videos? I don't know. I guess all that's possible if you've got enough time and energy.
It certainly is possible. And that's almost the way I started, because you know, the mate I'm talking about, he recorded a video of him playing a tune, and I downloaded it from Facebook, added tracks to it, and then loaded it back. Okay. And so I don't know whether I can find that kind of thing quickly, but let me try and just find something very quickly with that.
Mick, when we cut back to you, could you just raise your camera a bit? We're staring at your chest.
I was just trying to show the accordion. I'll take it off. Right, so am I still sharing screen? No. So let me try and work out how to share screen again. How does it keep going away?
Yeah, you just need to move the mouse and the icon will appear center bottom.
Yeah, so you know, let's I'm now going through my Facebook. Yeah, so here's a video of the friend I'm talking about. I don't know why it's doing that. Go away. There we are. Let's do that. So you get the idea. So he did a video to start off with and sent it to me, which is the playing of the guitar, and then I added the accordion as a video, put the two together, put the sound together in GarageBand and the two videos together in iMovie, and pasted it back as a side-by-side video, right? So it's certainly possible to do that. Timing is quite interesting. You begin to realize how much you rely on looking at people to stay in time with them, but it's certainly possible to do it, and the results can be okay, kind of thing. Certainly, it's been great to do it when we can't meet or go to a pub or anything. It's a way to play music together that we weren't we were cut off from, if you like.
That is quite impressive, because you see, you know, lots of professionals doing this that have obviously got, you know, sort of lots of musician friends, lots of kit and whatever else. But the fact that you can do that, you know, sort of with quite a modest setup at home is quite excellent, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's just by the way, if you've got an iPad, a modern iPad will have GarageBand on the iPad. And for a friend, I was just trying it out this morning. You just stick the iPad up and play into it. You get quite a good result from a point of quality. You know, it's not bad at all, really. I mean, you know, the difference between the internal mic and my 300 quid mic is there, but it's not huge. You know, you'll get quite a reasonable quality just with the internal mic and the internal video.
Nick,
Yeah.
you said that your iMovie file that you were going to send out was 19 seconds and
Yeah.
30 megabytes. That makes it 90 megabytes per minute. Okay. Aren't they rather big files to send out?
Yeah, so it's not quite as bad as that. By the time you've, you know, if you like compressed it, which you can do,
Okay.
3 minute, typically our songs are about 3 or 4 minutes, and the video comes out to be about 90 megs. Okay, and so with the friend that you just saw the video of, he was using OneDrive. I will wash my mouth out with soap later. And so we were sharing files back and forth on OneDrive, but you know, you can use Dropbox and iCloud. And so you can't mail them, but you can easily share a link to them on OneDrive. Okay. And it works pretty well, really.
Okay, thank you.
You can actually mail that size of file, Jeff, quite easily now, because Apple's got this thing called Mail Drop. So if you attach that file to an email, when you come to send it, it'll say, do you want to send using Mail Drop? And you can send quite large attachments that way. So it's not quite as terrible as it seems. No, that's actually quite a small video file compared with the stuff I have to deal with professionally.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, these are not big. You know, I was going to look up the size of anything I'd done, you know, as a video, if I can find one. But yeah.
Mark, do you know what the maximum limit is on file size for Mail Drop?
I don't know precisely, but I've sent sort of files at sort of hundreds of megabytes. I think sort of even sort of several gigabytes, 2 or 3 gigabytes, and it's still done it. I mean, yeah, I think it only keep them sort of there for sort of 30 days or so, but that's long enough for the recipient to download it to their computer. So as long as you don't expect it to be there forever for people, then yeah, you can send quite big ones, I think.
Right, no, that's very interesting. Thank you.
So I've just looked up a video I did to send to that guy of me singing as a as a MOV file, so not compressed in any way, and it's 200 megs, and it's probably 3 minutes long, right? So if you don't compress it, you get that sort of number. But it's pretty easy to share it on any of the file sharers. And as you said, I hadn't thought of mail drop, but you can probably do that. Does mail drop work if the guy's got a PC? Or is it only to Macs? Anybody know? No, okay.
I'll find out.
Yeah, it's interesting. But, you know, there's various ways to share them. So it's not really been a problem, to be honest.
It does work, Mick. It just gives, if you're on a PC, it just gives you a download link that you click on. It just downloads it as if you were downloading a program file or something like that. So I even did that today. So I know it works. If you're on a Mac, it'll automatically download the file in the background, but on a PC, just or even on Linux, it will just download as a file.
Right. Okay. Okay. Good. So there we are.
Are we there, ladies and gentlemen? No more questions?
Okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed it.
Mick, it's been absolutely fascinating, and thank you very much indeed. Thanks everyone for turning up this evening. Just a reminder that our next meeting's on the 29th of July, which is with Brad Clark, who'll be dissecting WWDC and talking about what we can expect from Apple during the next 12 months. Thanks all for turning up, and have a good evening. Yes.
Mike.
Thank you. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers
Sorry,
now.
somebody's asking a question. Phil,
Thank you from across the pond.
Yes.
you're very welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yes,
Yeah,
Michael, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
Was
Thank
somebody
you.
asking
Thoroughly
a question?
enjoyed you, Mick.
Yeah, me.
Oh,
Mike.
Chris.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just
Thank you, mate.
about the sound while using GoToMeeting. I use Zoom for.
Please don't start me down that path. Please.
No, but I just wanted to ask you something, because there's I use a Zoom for a choir that I run.
Yep.
And the audio settings you can change so that you don't get all this cutting out. It's very gated, the actual sound on GoToMeeting, and I'm not sure how you would change that, but there may be somewhere in settings. I mean, when Mick was playing, it kept cutting down.
I completely appreciate that. Importantly, I did have this conversation with Mick before the meeting,
Right.
and he actually said that he knew that it existed in Zoom. I'm thinking more and more, and this is a conversation I need to have with the committee, but I'm thinking more and more that we perhaps ought to change to Zoom. You probably know the history of this, but we went with GoToMeeting because at the time that we were exploring these apps, to say that Zoom was going through a rocky patch is an understatement. And we all felt that GoToMeeting would be safer. I think that from my experience with our friends across the pond, because I've been attending their Zoom meetings, I think the interface is cleaner. I think it's easier to navigate. And I think these are strong reasons perhaps to think again and perhaps move. However, what I would like to hold out on is to see what the quality of the recording is like when it arrives in a couple of hours' time, because certainly as far as video is concerned, I've been so impressed by the quality of the movies that have been produced by GoToMeeting. So I'm really, my fingers are crossed that the sound will be much better as well.
Christoph, one of the things I do is I play for the local Morris dance team, and we've been using Zoom where I play and they dance, and so I knew about original sound and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But there doesn't seem to be anything on GoToMeeting. We had a look round before the meeting, and I couldn't find anything that.
I mean, a lot of it is a workaround. I mean, I use a little 16-channel mixer plugged into a sound card to be able to play tracks to my choir, and for them to. It's quite a complicated
Right.
bit of kit just for a simple sing-along. It's but
Yeah.
it's yeah.
So when I was playing the stuff back, was that breaking up then?
It was cutting down, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I'm
It's an
holding out
inbuilt,
hope.
inbuilt limiter, I think, in GoToMeeting.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
I mean,
this is definitely an issue that we will discuss. And you know, I'd move back to Zoom tomorrow because it makes no difference to me. I think we possibly need to be a bit more careful about using waiting rooms and things, which I know other groups do. I know that Naples does, just to keep. Can I ask Naples a question? Actually, have you actually ever been Zoom bombed?
Yes, we have.
Well,
About 8 years ago, and there was a group of 20 people who signed in exactly at the time when our meetings officially started, which is 11:30 a.m. in the morning.
yes.
And we thought we had a wonderful meeting, and all of a sudden, this blast. There were again 20 people with terrible names. Like one guy called himself the Big Nigger, and then they had used obscene language and immediately showed terrible scenes, porn stuff. I am being the host. I try to remove these people, but they moved so quickly. And when you check in, you know, there is no constant position for a name. These names float on the list of participants, and I unfortunately didn't see anything. I just heard some terrible words, and within a minute or so, I just decided to end the meeting. We ended the meeting, but miraculously, because this was one of our first weekly Zoom meetings after Corona, I asked George Rubin. I said, please send an invite to all participants. They should sign in again in 10 minutes. And within 10 minutes, I created the wait room. And then of the 50 people who had signed in before, 37 people signed back in again through the waiting room. But we eliminated the Zoom bombers, and they were absolutely terrible. But I tell you, they are still active. 2 weeks ago, we had a big meeting here in Naples. The police had a big Zoom meeting with hundreds of participants and were Zoom bombed. And it took them too long because I think nobody knew exactly the hierarchy, how to stop a meeting. It took too long to stop it. So people have a wonderful exposure to some of the more modern pornographic movies, I guess. But it was absolutely, and unfortunately, these things do not promote virtual conferences when they happen. And
Can I ask?
Even some of our members decided not to join for several weeks, but now they're back because we use the waiting room and we use pre-registration to stop this kind of nonsense. But I don't think we do the pre-registration again. I think just the waiting room will be sufficient to protect us. That's my assessment.
Can I ask a question?
Of course.
When you send out invites for the meeting, do you send out the automatically created one from Zoom so that the ID and the password are all in the same invite?
What we right now do, we send out we send out a link to register, and they receive a form from Zoom with certain fields that we can modify to a certain degree. They fill out these forms and send them into Zoom. Presently, I have selected the option that I personally approve every single registration request. I want to be absolutely sure that we have the right people. And we normally only accept our own members, but for the time being, because we try to grow internationally, we love to have other friends, fans as well, including you people. But presently I approve every single registration attempt. But I believe going forward, we don't have to do that anymore. I think the waiting room is a very good protection. And I believe as of July or August, I will change our system. I will just send out an invitation with the Zoom ID and the password. And even though such invitations could fall into the wrong hands, if those wrong hands then try to enter the weight room, we will find that we don't have their email address and will block them from entering our meeting. That's the procedure.
I tend to send out the ID in one email, and then I send out the password in a separate email. There's added security that way.
Do that, yes. Yeah.
And use the waiting room.
Yeah. Well, the waiting room, I think, is a wonderful, wonderful feature.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Are we done? I think we are done. Thanks all so much. Look forward very much to seeing you again next month for the Brad Fest. As I said earlier, I'm not sure that all of you were here at the time, and I'm not sure if everybody heard me talking about Brad, but I know that some of you, Paul Griffith, who's just joined our group, for example, won't have met him, but he's ex-Apple. He worked at the Regent Street store for many years. He's now freelancer in London. We're so lucky to have him because he's related to one of our members. But he's I think an incredibly warm and good speaker that only does business in plain English, which always suits me because, as you know, I'm very unnerdy. So that's the 29th of July. And on that, I bid you good night. And thank you very much again for coming along.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks all. Mike, for